there is a lot going on. Hey, what's happening, my people? Welcome back to Chelsea News. Wait, no. What's happening, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you lot are all doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on Football Therapy. I can't be else to say it, where I give you Chelsea news. 3 stories to talk about today. Frank Lampard is under a great deal of pressure, but perhaps maybe not that much. The expected return date of Hakim Ziyech, as well as the birthday boy Marcos Alonso looking to potentially go out on loan to Atletico Madrid. Very, very difficult times in the world of football, especially for Chelsea Football Club. Playing a lot of games, not performing well, performing okay, not good enough, no creativity, and some frustrating results. Strap yourselves in, boys and girls, a lot to get into. Consider subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy, if you haven't already done so, for daily Chelsea FC related content. Do drop a like on the video if you want to help me out. Let's see how many likes we can get. If I could get over 2,500 likes, I would be a happy bunny. Alright then, let's get into today's video. Starting off with the return of Hakim Ziyech, Chelsea's right winger / cam, who's looked pretty darn incredible when he's played for Chelsea, obviously been troubled with injuries since signing. Chelsea look a different team in the Moroccan's absence, but Frank Lampard has confirmed that he should be returning soon, maybe even for the Manchester City game, should it go ahead. And Frank also goes on to say, yes, we have missed him, it's not a coincidence, but we cannot rely on him. Chelsea have not seen Hakim Ziyech on the pitch since their 3-1 win over Leeds, and Chelsea since then have only won 1 game out of the 6 games they've played in all competitions. Although Chelsea have a lot of talent in their roster and their squad, in terms of how they're playing at the moment, it does look like they're heavily reliant on Hakim Ziyech. Granted, in his absence, we've also played without Callum Hudson-Odoi, who was returning from injury, and Christian Pulisic, who was also returning from injury. You marry that with the poor form of Kai Havertz and the continued poor form of Timo Werner, and Chelsea are in a very difficult place. It does look like Kai Havertz is picking up a little bit in terms of his confidence playing in the final third. He's looked good in the last 3 games coming off the bench. Make no mistake of the importance of Hakim Ziyech though. Yes, of course, we all need to be realistic when new signings come into clubs, they need time to bed in, but every now and again you get a player that just fits in and works. The best and prime example for this would be Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United. A little bit older than the majority of Chelsea signings, much like how Hakim Ziyech is a little bit older. Bruno Fernandes slotted straight into that Manchester United side and made them better. He came with experience in his prime and a little bit of arrogance about him, which is exactly the qualities that Hakim Ziyech brings Chelsea. Now, of course, Manchester United are an entirely different beast without Bruno Fernandes. Could you say the same about Chelsea Football Club? If so, that is disappointing considering the amount of quality Chelsea have within their squad. But again, I must caveat that with, you need to be realistic, be patient for these players to get settled into their new club, team, country, league. Especially when you marry that with the exceptional and peculiar circumstances that football and indeed the world is in at the moment. So that's some positive news with Hakim Ziyech there. Let's move on to our next story. And that is reports that Chelsea outcast Marcos Alonso will go out on loan to Atletico Madrid this January. That's right, the January transfer window opens in just a few days' time, and Chelsea should expect to get some people out the door. Marcos Alonso just celebrated his 30th birthday at home all alone. Although Marcos Alonso is a very capable left wing-back, Chelsea do not really play a wing-back system anymore, and his defensive ability is probably worse now than it was when he first joined the club. Marcos Alonso fell out with Frank Lampard when he refused to watch the team and wanted to sit on the bus. Frank Lampard had a row with him in front of the team. Frank made himself clear he would not accept this kind of attitude towards the team and demanded a good work ethic and team spirit. So Marcos Alonso's been out ever since. Here's an extract from The Independent reporting on the Marcos Alonso story. Atletico Madrid are in talks to sign Chelsea fullback back Marcos Alonso on loan in the January transfer window. Alonso has been sidelined from Frank Lampard's first team plans and has not featured in Chelsea's Premier League squad since the end of September, where he was substituted half-time during the Blues' 3-3 draw with West Brom. Of course, he was awful in that half and was culpable for one of the goals, and then he had the argument with Frank Lampard. Emerson Palmieri has risen above Alonso in the pecking order, and Chelsea are prepared to allow the Spaniard leave, although Ben Chilwell's recent injury inevitably raised concern. So there you have it, no big surprise there. Marcos Alonso loan in January. It's a shame we couldn't perhaps sell him in the summer. Granted, Frank Lampard might have had designs to keep him as the backup left back, even though we know he wanted Ben Chilwell, but you feel we could have fetched some money for Marcos Alonso, and perhaps a loan to Atletico Madrid will devalue him. But at the end of the day, Chelsea got some great service out of the Spanish left wing back, and FA Cup, Premier League of course. Didn't cost that much money. Ultimately, good business for Chelsea. Right then, let's move on to the final story in today's video and talk about Frank Lampard. There are a few reports floating around the media that Frank is under pressure, and you can understand where these are coming from due to recent poor results. Although Chelsea did put in a relatively decent performance against Aston Villa, the result itself was not good enough. Aston Villa probably were not the opponent Chelsea needed to face at the time after needing to bounce back against Arsenal, because they are in scintillating form themselves, not conceding a goal in like 9.5 hours prior to the Olivier Giroud goal. 4 wins on the bounce, of course, for the villains, and they had just beaten Crystal Palace 3-0 with 10 men. Still, Chelsea looks better, but they did look devoid of creativity a lot of the time in the final third. Now, inevitably, with Chelsea only winning 1 and 6 throughout all competitions, speculation, news reports will rise to the surface regarding Frank Lampard's safety within the Chelsea job, as of course we all know Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich has an itchy trigger finger when it comes to sacking coaches who are not bringing immediate success. Of course, in terms of timing and narrative, Thomas Tuchel has just been canned by PSG, sacked to hire Mauricio Pochettino, so many reports including Sport Bild are linking Tuchel to the Chelsea job. Now, whether that's in Roman Abramovich's thoughts or not, I can't confirm, but who knows, you imagine the thought has flown into his head due to the nature of this business. But context is required for Frank Lampard and the Chelsea job. Chelsea are looking devoid of creativity and not scoring goals at the moment. Last season they looked like they couldn't defend. This season, with the first choice back 4 in form, Chelsea looks like the most defensively resolute defense in the Premier League. Incredibly impressive stuff from Chilwell, Silva, Zuma and Reece James, with N'Golo Kante pushed back into a CDM role. In terms of creativity and scoring goals, for a long time Chelsea were the league's top goal scorers and had the most individual goal scorers in the league, which actually may still be the case. I need to double check that. But in terms of being exciting, scoring goals, Chelsea had that ability from everywhere. You looked at the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, only really getting goals out of Kane and Son. Chelsea had around 13 Premier League goal scorers, which is pretty darn incredible, and considering they were scoring a lot of goals and looked shored up at the back, it really looked like Frank Lampard had got this Chelsea team right, and a lot of people were tipping Chelsea for the title, including Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp. That was only about a month ago, and things have gone to difficult times since, but it's easy to think that Chelsea aren't capable of scoring goals or something like that. But you have to only reflect back a few games ago even to see how Chelsea were very capable of scoring goals. Is it all down to the absence of Hakim Ziyech, or is there something else happening behind the scenes? I'm not so sure, but as stories surface into the media, you can be sure that I will report on them here on Chelsea News on Football Therapy, so be sure that you are subscribed to keep yourself locked to all news regarding the Blues. That's it from me. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. It means a lot. It does help me out a lot, and consider subbing if you're new. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.